It's time to get creative as Hale.
Be strong.
Hey everybody, we are live. Let me get where I belong here. All right. Hello everyone and welcome to Creative as Hale. I'm your host Amy Hale here with my fabulous husband and co-host John Hale. And tonight we have USA Today bestselling author Jason Nugent with us. But before we jump in, we need to take care of our usual business first. So let's start with our Patreon supporters. Thanks to our Patreon supporters. With their help, we've been able to purchase some new equipment for the show. We need some new lights. And with our continued support, we will work hard to bring you the best shows, books, and other entertainment we can. Little hint, if you're a Patreon subscriber right now, you can currently go check out my latest post and get a sneak peek of my new book, Neurosis. You can support us for as little as $1. So if this is something you're interested in, please check us out at the address at the bottom of the graphic. Did I not click that graphic? I apparently did. There we go. Okay. So you can check that out there. And thank you to these Patreon subscribers for helping us. Let's see here. What else? Oh, I think I missed a bit here while I was trying to find my graphics. Let me find that. I can get it to go back down. Always so much fun. All right. So anyway, we appreciate all of our Patreons subscribers and all that they do. If you can find the address at the bottom of the graphic, you can also find that link in the show notes. The show notes are below if you're watching on YouTube or above if you're watching on Facebook. So let's go now to the Rising Tide Network. And Creative as Hale is very proud to be a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Our fantastic group of shows are listed on the graphic. Take a screenshot or check out the Rising Tide Network link in the show notes for more information. If you're looking for great entertainment and education, you'll find it in the Rising Tide. And so a quick reminder about upcoming events. John and I will be at the Indie Author Book Expo in Peoria, Illinois on May 29th. We will also be at Riders on the River in Peoria, Illinois. Let me grab that graphic. There you go. Look at all these great authors, you guys. It's going to be an amazing event. We're going to be in Peoria, Illinois again on July 17th for this event. And as other events draw near, we will continue to share those with you. We hope you'll come to these events following the current safety mandates, of course, which thankfully are getting easier to follow, and stop by our table and say hello. And let me show you real quick, you guys, what I will now have at my table. The paperbacks are in. So yeah, make sure you come check these out, okay? Come get your copy. Let's see, what else do we have? Well, we hope you'll enjoy tonight's show. If you would be so kind as to like the page you're watching it on and give it a follow, we'd be ever so grateful. If you're with us on YouTube, please consider subscribing to our channel and ring that bell so you don't miss a thing. Now, without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Jason Nugent, which means I have to actually click all the correct buttons. There's one. There's two. I did it. Oh, yeah. Hey, Jason, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me.
We are so excited to have you. It's been a while since we've actually got to chat with you.
It's been was it last summer? Maybe I don't know.
So. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think it was because I think we saw you at the what was the event in?
Was it the Cape Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, I think it was Cape Con.
I think
it was the last time we got to really, see you face to face, and of course, we were all masked up even then.
Yeah, my beard was a bit longer back then.
So is his,
Yeah, I
actually.
shortened
He
everything
just
down.
shortened everything
too.
down for
Yeah.
the summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, we've already got questions popping in here, so let's see. What do we got? Ryan Permisson, thanks for joining us, Ryan. He says, "Happy Thursday, everyone. Time to raise some hail." There you go. There you go. And shared. Thank you so much, Ryan. That is
Thank
so
you.
appreciated. So Ryan always brings these great questions, like this one. Favorite movie or TV series? So, do you have a favorite movie or TV series, Jason?
Yeah. Gosh, what would be my favorite movie? I really, really, really like Interstellar. It's just a great movie. It's a good time. I'm a big fan of all the Star Wars movies, of course. Well, most of the Star Wars movies. Schindler's List. I mean, The Shining. Those are all great movies and kind of really informed me quite a bit. TV. We watched The Walking Dead from day one. It's getting near the end, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But we've all been on that. Game of Thrones, The Office.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys are big Office fans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's some of the things that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that goes
Good
along.
variety.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
kind of goes along with what you like to write.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of mix it up. So, like, I've got my dragon earrings and my dragon necklace, and I've got my skulls shirt on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're all ready for Jason. So
Yeah.
Jason writes, what is it? Sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
So
Thought I had it all.
Yeah.
That's right there.
Yep. Yeah. So
Tell us a little
sci-fi.
bit about the different genres you write, and I know you write horror under a pen name.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do. I write sci-fi and fantasy. Mostly, it's been more fantasy lately. I have a young adult sci-fi trilogy. It's kind of got a Hunger Games Maze Runner vibe to it. I've got a fantasy series that I'm one book away from finishing, and it's got shape-shifting dragons and blood magic and all that fun stuff.
Awesome.
I've got a Portal fantasy trilogy that I co-wrote with Ray that I met at I think the event that we met. I've got a lit RPG series that I'm 2 books into. I'm going to do it as a 3-book series on that one, and that one I'm working on the last book. And then I write horror under a pen name. It's J. Bauer. They're all standalone novels, and most of them are set here in Southern Illinois. So in the fictional town of Brownsville, which is Murfreesboro. Yeah. And I got maybe 5-6 books out underneath that name. I can't remember offhand. And I'm working on a co-written trilogy with another author that we're hoping to have out later this year. That's kind of going to be like a horror lit RPG, and so it's going to go under my pen name. So
fun.
Yeah.
You guys, I have read his sci-fi. I've read the selection and that trilogy. I don't think I finished it yet. I think I still have the last book to go. And then I have read his. I've done some beta reading for Jason, or art reading on his horror stuff. And you guys, I'm sending a message and be like, I am squirming in my seat. This is so gross. But it's great. It's the great kind of gross. It's not like just gross for the sake of being gross. It really just pulls you into the story. So I think it was
Soul Eyes.
Soul Eyes. Yes, yeah. Soul Eyes.
And I just released the audiobook on that within the last week too.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Definitely going to have to check that out. I don't know if it'll be worse listening to it. Yeah, so you're on Audible, correct? Those on Audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have to get some links. We'll get them stuck in the comments for that. We'll try to go back and put them in the show notes so you guys can find the link to that Audible book. Let's see what else. So so you got J. Bauer is his horror, and then Jason Nugent is his other stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got another question here. Favorite books growing up?
I'm gonna go with probably Stephen King with The Stand and The Shining were 2 of my favorites. The Pillars of Earth by Ken Follett was another one that was really, really good. It was a really long book, but and it's just historical fiction, but I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, who else? A lot of King, man. My mom was a big King fan, and his books were like the first book I ever read, the first novel I read on my own that I for my own enjoyment was Pet Sematary.
Mm-hmm.
It was just sitting around on the coffee table, and it didn't look too long, and I was like, that looks cool. Let me try this.
Try
And, yeah,
Yeah.
and I was hooked, because I used to watch those old like Tales from the Crypt and
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff, and that was my jam with those 80s B horror movies too, and
Yeah.
and here I am with Pet Sematary. I was like, this is perfect,
Yeah. Pet Sematary really messed me up. I loved it, but reading, I was one of those people, I tell people I was so dumb because I would get everything done, go to school, come home, whatever. And then I would read before I went to bed.
Mhm.
So obviously I would either not sleep because I had all those horrible images in my head, or I would have horrible dreams.
Yeah.
I didn't do myself any favors. But yeah, Pet Sematary I loved. And of course, if you were into big books, you could read it.
Yeah.
Which was like this thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was crazy. I swear I built some arm muscles just carrying that one around from the library.
It's got a few words to it.
It's got a few, yeah, just a few. But yeah, those are great.
Have you watched any of the new
Creep Show?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
yeah, it's on Shudder, I think.
yes. We've got Amazon Prime, so we have access to the different, and we started watching the more recent Creep Show, and I love it because they have kept the format of the kind of a comic book, kind of cheesy, but the horror has stepped up a notch. There's, and of course they've added more, it's a little more gory, more, more kind of futuristic, like there's zombies and all this kind of stuff, but it's a little more like Walking Dead, where they've kind of stepped up the gore and what they can physically do with the effects.
Yeah, the effects are a lot better than they used
to be. So yeah, I think in like 3 nights we binged watched the entire like 2 seasons or whatever of the new because we just was like, oh, what's next?
That's good. And
of course it was before bed, so I had lots of dreams again.
They're them little short stories too.
So you're getting those little 30-minute snippets of stories.
Yeah, I love those.
Yeah, they're fun.
It's good. They've done a good job on it because it does have that little bit of cheesiness to it that just makes it.
Yeah,
it's also got that kind of Twilight Zone twist too. Oh yeah.
I grew up on that kind of cheese horror. Man. That's my jam right there.
Me too. Me too. Let's see. Keisha, hello, beautiful people. Hello, sweetie. How are you? And let's see. Ryan says, party rock intro. Way to go. Thank you very much. Let's see. Carl says, good evening. Hi, Carl. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So let's see. You were talking about some of the stuff that you were working on. I know you sent me some photos. So let's look here. Were any of those the ones you were just talking about that you were working on?
Yes. Yeah. So I just released that Heart of the Forest.
Okay, so that's this one.
That one, yeah. So that's that's the second book in my Lit RPG series.
Okay.
And Lit RPGs, it's a different beast, and I don't know if you're familiar with a bunch of it, but it's
I've heard of it, but I've never actually read one. So how does that? Is it kind of like Choose Your Own Adventure?
No. So it's kind of, it combines like elements of role playing games with fiction, and so in my book, and there's different flavors of it. So like if you have a lot of stats, like if you ever play D&D, you have all your stats for your character, and you get these weapons and items and all these things, and they have their own stats, and you roll for different things. Well, there are some books that have just walls of stats in it, and they call those crunchy Lit RPG, like peanut butter, like so it's got a lot of numbers and crunches to it. I'm a simple man, so mine is not like that. So it's a little bit, it's got fewer stats to it, but it does have stats. Like the character levels up, he does different things. They learn magical spells. They, all kinds of different things. And so it's got fewer stats, but it's got a lot of action, which is what is pretty common with most of my writing. And so it's certainly different, and it's a growing genre. And I think the readers are really rabid. You know, they're kind of, it's like romance readers, but not romance. Although there are some lit RPGs that are like harem lit RPG that has a lot of that to
the
it.
Romance elements to it.
Mine is not. It doesn't have that, but it's set on a ship that's leaving. It's going towards the small planet Ceres, and then while they're in it, they get immersed in this virtual game. You know, so they're totally immersed in it, and they're supposed to be able to get out, but our character does not. So he's kind of stuck in this game.
Okay.
And so the Sword of the Moon King was the first book in that, and that's.
Is that the one this one?
Yeah, okay. That one. So that's book one.
Okay.
And that character, his name is Bladehawk, which is my son Jackson. I don't know if you've ever met Jackson.
Yeah.
So his gamer tag is Bladehawk. Like he's used that ever since he was younger. And
okay.
So that's who I named the character. His gamer tag, or what his name in the game is Bladehawk. Mm-hmm. And so that's him on the cover, and that's Ghost, his pet snow tiger, and he's on the second book too. But that's
cool.
And so the third book I'm working on it now, and so they're in these different worlds. Like that one, it's a kind of a snowy Skyrim type of world. Heart of the Forest is kind of more like a Ewok Endor type of world, with these giant sequoias. And so this last book, it's going to be in a few different locations, but it's starting off in more of like a sandy desert world, and it's going to kind of go into like an underworld type of thing.
Okay.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah. Those are really neat. And so you said you're currently working on the third one now, right?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm in the early stages of it. I've got some ways to go, but I'm early parts of that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm going to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's different. That's for sure. I'm in a writing group. Last year, when COVID hit in March, and I was furloughed from work, and so I was home. Yeah. I had all this time to write, and I saw in the 20 books group there was he wanted to start a fantasy writing group, a small group, and so he asked for people to send him info about themselves, and so he could kind of whittle it down to see who would be a good fit. And so we did. There's there's 6 of us, and we meet every week. And one of the guys is a lit RPG author. That's all he writes. And I was like really intrigued by it, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I like this. And so I started writing that last year in the spring, maybe about a year ago now, that I started the Sword of the Moon King as one of the projects I was working on at the time because of what I had discovered there. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's a lot of fun. It's like you can do fantasy, but you have real world connections. Like you can say this creature is the size of a bus, right? But you're in a fantasy world. If you're writing fantasy, you can't say a creature is the size of a bus, but with lit RPG, you have that ability to kind of tie in the real world to this virtual world, which can be fantasy, sci-fi, or whatever, there's different kind of flavors.
So is it kind of like breaking the fourth wall in a sense?
Well, I mean, yeah, sort of, because the characters know that they're in a game, but then as they go along, it's just total immersion. And so at some point, it's like it is their reality. The real world is not. And in my book, in Sword of the Moon King, you can respawn like you do in a game, so you can get killed and you get respawned, you come back, and then you can just keep coming back. And, of course, in gaming, you can have like spawn kills where, somebody, they know where you respawn, and so they just keep killing you over and over again because they're jerks. Yeah. And so that happens in the game, a guy dies and so it's you can have a lot of fun with different things like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Our son is really big into those games and D&D and of course just like with the respawning and the camping. I've heard him complain about that so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'd even done some testing for a couple of companies and to help find the glitches. And he even told him once I think it was EA Games he was doing. Anyway, it was one of the newer ones, maybe Watch Dogs or one of those that came out, and he was like, hey, there's a glitch here. this guy ends up in the same place every time. And they're like, no. He's like, no, I'm telling you. And he said he ended up, he's like, okay, I'll show you. And he said he was just killing the guy like right off the bat each time. Mm-hmm. And he kept doing it so much that it made the developer mad. He was playing with it.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a cool little. That's just a cool world. I love the idea of adding the gaming with the fiction and mixing that up. That's something different.
I could see that being like a real escape. That's just cool.
Yeah.
It's huge. And right now, I'm in an organization called the IASFA, the International Association of Science Fiction and Fantasy Authors, I believe is what it's for. And right now they're doing a freebie as a newsletter sign up. It goes from the 11th through the 15th, so it's still going on right now. And I don't have the link. I shared it on my regular Facebook page, but you sign up to the newsletter and you have access to get all these free books. And each month they do a different genre. And this month it's lit RPG and cyberpunk. And so Sword of the Moon King is in that, where you can sign up for the newsletter, and that could be one of many of the different books you can choose to get for free. There's some really big names in there. I don't know if you've seen recently Dakota Kraut. There were some news reports that were floated around about how he was making over like $1 million as an indie author, and he's a huge lit RPG author. Like, he's really big in the genre. One of his books are in that promo, and
that's awesome.
So it's definitely something to check out.
Okay, so I'm going to add that link here. It's for free. You can get some free books, you said?
Yeah, you sign up to the newsletter, and then it'll send you the info to get to the to the free books. But then they do a freebie every month, and you get there's like 15 to 20 books every month that you can get. That's it. The get free books. That's it right there.
Okay, I'm going to delete that and redo it because I messed it up and it's not clickable now. So let me try that again.
Yeah, but
let's see.
But that's the organization. It's run by Craig Martell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he's the one that's running that organization.
Okay.
And so
he's an upstanding guy. Yeah.
Oh, he's a good dude. I bought the that free write from him.
Oh, that's who you got
the
that
Traveler.
from.
Yeah, I bought it off of him.
Okay, awesome.
It had some of his stuff was still on it from one of his recent books, like the leadership book, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, let's check this. And he had said he put about 150 words on it and was like, this isn't for me, and that was it. Then he
just don't know.
So I got it at a great bargain, but it came all the way from Alaska. It was pretty cool.
Wow, yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, that's in the comments there. So if you want to click that link and sign up and find out what's going on, that's definitely something you should check out, because you can get his book free. And it sounds like there's a bunch of other great books on there. So you'll get this one is the one that's free, right?
Yes, yeah, that'll be in there.
Okay, so you can get his first book in his lit RPG game book. So
yeah,
awesome. Okay, and you guys, and check out this awesome. I'm gonna show this. Look at his awesome logo. That's just really cool. I love it.
Really,
I really love it.
Thanks.
That is so great. Okay, so let's see. What else did I have here? Okay, so then we also have this one, which I see dragons, so I'm automatically drawn in.
Yeah.
So talk about these.
Sure. So this is the one. I've got one more book to go, and I'll be done with this series. So this series actually has a lot going. I've got a lot in this, and it's such a cool thing. So it started several years ago as part of a shared world project. There was about 15 or so authors from around the world, and they had created this world. They had all these rules to it and everything, and all of us authors that were part of it, we could submit our story to it to see, submit our proposal, and so that the plan was to do a book a month from a different author that was all somewhat related, just because it was tied into this world. And it's kind of like the Havenswood falls that you're involved in.
Yeah.
And so, but it fell apart, so it didn't go anywhere.
Oh, no.
And so I kind of reworked a bunch of it because I didn't have to adhere to the rules of that world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I reworked some of it that I thought was going to work better for me. And that became the Bloodstone. That's the first book in the series. And it's had some pretty good reception to it. It's actually now perma-free as of today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's on, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Google Play, Amazon. It's free right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's and the main character, his name is Lilokin, which is a name that I have used for years in gaming, like online gaming. It's my Twitter handle is Lilokin
That
so,
sounds familiar.
Yeah, I use it a lot, and I've always wanted to use that for my character at some point, and so this was the time I did it. So he's the main character in this series, and it's been so much fun. I've got shape-shifting dragons, I've got zombie type dragons, I've got blood magic. It's so much fun to write, and that book, The Bloodstone. Last year for 2020, I entered it in the self-published fantasy blog off.
Mm-hmm.
It's this big contest where they get up to 300 entries, and then they whittle it down to the top 10 to get like what's the best indie fantasy book, for that. It doesn't have to be released that year. It just has to be first in series and all of that.
Yeah.
So I entered it in it. I didn't get past the first round. However, the cover made it to the cover contest. They loved it. It was one of the top 10 covers of the entire 300.
Oh wow.
So I was really cool with that. I was like, I always loved that zombie dragon on the cover. I always thought it was kind of sweet.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And as a side note, one of the guys in my writing group actually made it to the top 10 with his book overall. He made it to the finals out of the 300, and he ended up in fourth place out of 300. So
yeah, that's cool. That's
yeah.
Cool. So the Bloodstone is the one that's free, or all of them's free?
Just the Bloodstone. That one is free, and then Dragon's Blood is book 2, and Bone of the Griffin is book 3.
Okay.
I'm working on book 4 now, which is tentatively titled of Blood and Bone. Mm-hmm. Which I think there might be another book titled that, but that's all right.
I think there's a couple of different ones actually. That seems to be.
I've got blood and bone going in these books, so it works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, and so I also noticed this one is on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes, both my lit RPG are in Kindle Unlimited.
So that one and this one are Kindle Unlimited.
Yes.
So if you guys have got Kindle Unlimited, you can go grab this for free.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. All right, that's awesome. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your horror side of your writing?
Yeah.
Horror.
Yeah.
I'm going to make that clear. Horror with my accent. I'm not saying horror.
Yeah.
Horror.
I don't write that stuff. Yes, for sure. So, I've always liked horror. The first books I released, those short story collection under my name, had a little bit of horror to it, a bit. Mm-hmm. Everything under my name is PG-13, and I'm going to keep it that way. So if anyone picks up a book with my name on it, that's what you can expect. It's not going to. I just felt that was the right way to go, and so. Mm-hmm. But I've always liked horror. Some of my favorite books are horror. My favorite movies are horror. Like that's just part of me,
Yeah.
And so I've always wanted to write it, and I was working on Soul Eyes. I did that as a NaNoWriMo project, and I knew I was going to release it under a pen name, so I felt totally free in how I was going to write it. Like I just was like, I can do whatever I want. It's fine. No one needs to know who this name is.
If it bombs, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I got into it so much. I was really digging it, but I was getting ready to release it, but I wanted this pen name to have a backlist because I really thought Soul Eyes was going to be the one, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's a book I wrote, the second novel I ever wrote. It was, which is The Dark Sacrifice. That was the first book I released under the name Jay Bauer, and I never thought it was really scary. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I thought it was kind of creepy and a little dark, but I didn't think it was like super scary. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it is, but I think it hits the right notes because it has outsold everything of mine. Like that's been my best-selling book, and I only released it because I wanted a backlist for when Soul Eyes came out. Because I thought that was going to be the jam, but I'm wrong. The Dark Sacrifice has been just by far my best-selling book, and it's I've had 2 BookBub deals on that book alone.
Wow.
I've had one on Soul Eyes, but just it astounds me that so many people like that book. You know, at PenCon, I guess the last time I was at PenCon, I had released The Dark Sacrifice by then, and there was a reader. I'd met her the last time I was there, and she knew I did horror under the pen name, and she came running up to the table and to get me to sign. I think it was a book or something, but she had read The Dark Sacrifice, and she was like so into it. She was telling me how she was reading it in bed, and her and her husband were in bed, and she's reading this book, and it's getting late, and he's like, hey, it's time, we need to get to bed. And she's like, no, it's gonna have to wait. He's like, I gotta finish this. And I was like, I'm causing marital problems. Like, this is really cool, but it was so awesome to see somebody that had that kind of reaction to it, that they just couldn't stop, and they wanted to get to the end of it.
And that's cool. That's like the ultimate compliment, I think, for an author, is for someone to say, I could not put it down.
Yeah.
And that's something like with my newest one. My editor, she sent me a message, and she said, I started editing this morning, and she said, I was up until 2:30 a.m. because I could not stop reading. And she said, so I had to read it first. Now I'm going to go back and do more editing. But she said, I was like making noises and shouting. And she said, I'm surprised I didn't wake my whole house up. And I'm like, well, that's a good thing then.
Score.
That's what you want to hear. That's the best thing to hear. Yeah,
I'll take that all day long. Yeah. Well, I know, like, okay, I think my daughter bought Dark Sacrifice the last time we saw her.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Soul Eyes.
Yeah. Gosh, there's
what is the other? The one that really made me squirm. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
That's probably Useless Creatures.
Useless Creatures.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah. So I learned something with that book. I learned a couple of things. My readers don't like over-the-top gore. That's not their jam. It's not gone over well with them, and I get it. But I also it was kind of cathartic to kind of get that out, because it's probably the goriest thing I've written. It's based on the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And it's just it was just one of those things that it's out, and I've never gone that route with books since then. I've released 2 others since then. One was so the Useless Creature. That's a pretty gory one.
Yeah.
There's so since then there was Threefold Demons, and that's just more of kind of it's not quite horror. It's more of like a dark fantasy-ish kind of novel. It's hard to place it, and I think that's my readers. I think they see that, and then. Earlier this year, it was Dream Wraith was my latest novel.
Yeah, okay, that's right.
And so that one came out back February, I think it was.
Yeah.
And a short story collection from last year called Flesh Hook. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, okay. That sounds awful.
Yeah. Well, so a flesh hook is a real thing. They used it back in the medieval ancient times. They used it to get the meat out of the pot.
Oh, okay. So is it like the hook with the little T?
Yeah. So you just you pull that. Yeah. So it's called a flesh hook, and you're right. It sounded terrible. So I was like, I got to write something with this. So
yeah, really. It's like, I got to use this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, I could see Useless Creatures being a horror movie because it has that factor, Yeah, it was definitely gory. I'm like, I think I told him, I think I was sitting in the chair reading, and I was just like going, ooh,
yeah,
literally squirming in my chair while reading because it was really gross. But it also, man, I mean, you were good about putting some visuals in your head, which maybe is probably why it was over the top. because you're like seeing and almost like experiencing this while you're reading it, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is nuts.
Yeah,
but I still enjoyed it. I mean, for being gory, it was still a good book. I enjoyed
it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
One of those that I would probably read it again if I was really in the mood for some dark stuff,
But, when I go to cons with when I share a table with Ray, and then like he starts he'll start saying like, well, he's like, it's darker and darkest when he refers to ththose 3 books, and that's about right, because it's the Dark Sacrifice isn't too bad, but then you get to Soul Eyes, which is
it's got its moments.
And then Useless Creatures is just over the top.
It's just like, ooh.
Yeah. Pulled out all the stops.
That's funny. Let's see. We got Dale Guzman here. Hello, new here. Hi, Dale. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
We appreciate you hanging out here. If you have any questions for Jason, please just stick them in the comments, because we're always happy to answer questions. So let's see. So what do you have coming up next? I know you're working on the third in your lit RPG series.
So,
and then you said you have another one. What was it? We were just talking about it.
The fantasy one.
The fantasy one. So is there anything else coming up?
Yeah. So I've got so the third book in my lit RPG series. It's going to be called Key of the Universe.
Okay.
And so that'll be the final on that series, and then of Blood and Bone, which will be the final of my fantasy series, and then I'm working on a 3-book co-written like a horror lit RPG series, because as I've discovered, there's not too much horror in the lit RPG, and I don't know how well it's going to go over or not, but we're going to give it a shot. I've been kind of discussing it in some of the Facebook groups, in some of the lit RPG Facebook groups, just kind of feeling out like, hey, what are some horror books in the genre? And I've read a couple of them that have been suggested, and so I'm getting a little feel of how horror is done. But I keep talking to my co-writer, who's actually David, the one that started the group with me. Or he didn't start with me; he started the group, and I joined. Let me get that right. So we're going to do a trilogy, and we want to kind of do a rapid release, so we want to get all 3 of them done so we can get them out, and we want to go dark with it. And at first I was like, I just want to go as dark as possible, just make it horror. But now I'm kind of pulling back a little bit, like maybe we need to have a little more gaming elements to this, and just, we don't want to freak everybody out and then not pick up the books. But and the series, we're calling it Hell Online.
Wow.
So it's going to be a fun time where we explore the underworld.
There you go.
In a video game.
That sounds cool though. I love the concept.
Yeah, it's we've started writing it, and he was finishing up another series, and then of course with all the things that are going on with me with job and house and everything, it's we're gonna probably really get to it in June, I think. We're gonna really start crushing it.
Yeah. I mean, and you never know. Like you said, there's not many of the horror lit RPGs. You may just like set a whole new trend. I know, like a few people. What is it? New adult romance was not a genre several years ago. And then some authors started kind of building that up, is with that, college age, young adult, and it became a thing, you know. So there's no, you never know what'll take off sometimes, and sometimes it's worth it to just throw that out there and see what happens with it.
That's not lit RPG is not even a category on Amazon. Like you can't, like there's fantasy, there's sci-fi, there's and there's the various subgenres. It's not even got its own genre on there. It's supposed to in the fall. Yeah, it's supposed to like in September for whatever reason, and I don't know why they don't do it earlier, because there's so many books out there. There's a ton of them, and it's hard if you're not connected to some of these Facebook groups or Discord groups. It's hard to find them. It's hard to know what's what, because you can't search under
that in a search bar.
It's you'll eventually get to them, but it's not its own category. So
you got to just keep digging in the different categories to find it, don't you? Yeah, and that can be frustrating, especially if you're looking for something very specific. Sometimes Amazon's algorithms are not particularly user friendly.
No, they're not.
But well, that's exciting though.
Any shows coming up for you?
So yeah, man, I wish there were more of them. I'm fully vaccinated, ready to roll. So let's do. Yeah, it's the first one I've got is, I think it's down in Perryville. I think it's the
Are you the Heroes for Kids?
Heroes for Kids, yeah. And then after that is probably not till October for Cape Con. Okay, and then Dark History and Horror Con. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to Vegas in November for 20 Books Vegas.
Oh,
and they will be having a author like book signing day, kind of selling day on that Friday, which I signed up for as well. So we'll see how that goes. But I did volunteer to be on the AV team out there, so I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't run that equipment, but it'll be a good time. I decided, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I think that's all I've got scheduled for the year. Like, of course, Comic-Cons really aren't happening. Maybe they will by the end of summer, and then I can maybe get to one. But I know PenCon's been canceled, and a bunch of others. So who knows?
There is one in Ohio, and near your old stomping ground. I know you're originally from Ohio, but Middleton, Ohio, is the non-con, and it's held in a haunted school.
Oh, nice.
We're going to be there.
It was fun last year.
I'll send you the information. Because it's the tables are free. So they're just trying to, get people in the door and give them something to do. And like I said, the school's really, I got some stories, man. I got to tell you. Last year we had so much fun, even though, it was a very subdued event because of COVID. Everybody wore their masks. They did a good job of keeping people distanced and whatnot, but it was a really fun event. So definitely something that I would recommend for you, especially when it's right. Well, we'll send you the information because it's in September.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be there. Brian K. Morris will be there.
Nice.
I think Molly Daniels is going to be. There's going to be quite a few people that we already know there. So you'll be among friends.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So we'll send you that information.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say a fun fact as a horror author, as somebody that writes a lot of dark stuff, I will not go to haunted houses.
Like the haunted, like the ones that you pay to go through.
Yeah. I will not. They freak me out. I've seen too many movies. I've read too many books. I'm not going in those things. Like my wife, Jenny she laughs at me all the time. She was like, "Come on!" She's like, "You write this stuff." I was like, "Nope, I'm not doing it."
That's why I'm not going.
They freak me out. I will not do it.
So there's a difference between writing it and being in one.
Yeah,
I'm not a character in my books.
I've seen too many. It's a weird thing, but
I don't particularly like them either.
We were watching that How Monsters Are Made or something like that. It's and that's what they do. They make monsters for movies and for
haunted houses. And things. They make the attraction, which actually they just had. It's called Trans World, and they go there and they sell their stuff. They just had it in St. Louis last weekend. And our friend Santiago Cirillo was there repping a haunted house that he's going to be working with this year.
Down in Kentucky,
Yeah, and so it was really cool because we were seeing Santiago share this stuff, and I was like, I saw that on that monster show. So some of this stuff is so gory and so realistic, and there's a lot of automated stuff, and
it's
crazy.
Computer operated stuff that is just
things rush out at you and grab you, and I am not a fan of that at all, which is funny because I do like horror. I just I don't want to be the one in the middle of all of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Watch other people suffer. That's my entertainment. Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh, let's go down there." No, you go right ahead.
That's all right. You have fun. I'll be good right here. But at the same time, I love places like the school that's supposed to actually be haunted. That kind of stuff I love.
I hear you.
It's interesting,
They did have. I thought of you when they Santiago was walking around They have one that is actually has a monster truck school bus. And you ride in it shooting zombies with paintball.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I get into that one.
Yeah, I could do that one actually. That one would be, because it reminds me of Call of Duty Zombies.
Yeah.
When they're on the bus in the town. That's the first thing I thought of too.
Yeah, I thought, well, Jason would probably, he may not have a paintball gun. He'd have something that hurts a little more.
I can break out my airsoft guns.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But so those are a lot of fun. Like we had some really cool experiences at the school while we were there. Some stuff that I bought an EMF meter.
Okay.
Just to see, because we'd never, and I had it on my desk on Saturday, on my table on Saturday, and the thing would not stop going off. It was like up and down and be quiet for like an hour, and then just out of nowhere.
It was.
And then it would spike like at 50 something, and then just back down to nothing. And I was like, this is so weird. What? I mean, I can't say I understand a lot of it. Right. But we had a lot of people there that were paranormal investigators, so it was cool for them to go, was that your meter going off all day? Yep.
It went off enough that they had a investigation that night, and they kind of keyed on our
table, So while we were gone, they did an investigation in the evening after everything was shut down. And they came back and it's like, we need to talk to you about your table. I'm like, okay. So they have some really cool stories to tell us about stuff that happened around our table. Yeah. So oddly enough, Sunday, I don't think the thing went off one time.
Yeah.
It was just completely quiet. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But I got some pictures and some video and stuff that I'll have to show you later on when we have a good chance to chat. But
nice.
Yeah. It's a fun
venue. It was just a fun event. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it really was. Non-con 6, I believe, is what it's called this year.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's run by Keith Age. He used to tour with Nugent, Ted Nugent, and
my uncle.
A few others. So there you go. So he's called the Rock and Roll Ghost Hunter because he used to be in a lot of bands and stuff too.
Okay.
So, matter of fact, I think when we were there, when we were at NonCon last year, he was telling me that they were getting ready to do some more stuff, and he was going to be with Norman Reedus, and I was like, "Oh, dang, you need me help?"
Yeah, no doubt.
I will carry your coat.
I will do whatever. Yeah, but it's a pretty cool event. It really is.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so we'll send you all that info because that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So let's see. Is there anything we've left out? I want to see what. Let me look at my stuff here. Let me get my mouse to cooperate. Come on. There we go. All right. So go here. So we'll get your website up there. So you guys, you want to check it out. JasonJNugent.com is where we're going to find all of his stuff. If you go in the show notes, there's also a Facebook page. Let's see.
They can on the website. You can sign up for the newsletter, and you get that free prequel novella to my fantasy series, Curse of the Dracu Origins, which was in the box set that helped me get the USA Today bestseller list.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Yes, that's right, because you hit USA Today with a box set, which is so exciting. Yeah. So awesome. I mean, I don't think people always understand how just kind of what that feels like. I know it just yet, but I was close. You were
really close.
You were very close. But yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things when you get your letters, you're just kind of like, all right, that's one more thing I can tick off my list, Yeah. So yeah, that's really exciting. So yeah, you guys go sign up for the newsletter, get a free book, go check out all the other stuff he's got to offer because there's a lot there.
There is, yes.
Definitely worth checking out. And I get his newsletter, so I get to see all the cool stuff he's got coming up.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's see. Have we left anything out?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Can you think of anything we've forgotten?
Gosh, I don't know. This past year has just been a blur. Like, just
it really has.
Crazy. With having that time off last year and writing, like, just that's what I did as a day job. While I was waiting to see if I was getting called back.
Yeah.
Which I did not, but I got a lot of writing done, man. I knocked 3 of those books have been released.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th one, so it was another co-writing piece that I'm doing with an author out of Texas, a fantasy author named RJ Batla, and we're doing like a science fantasy trilogy.
Yeah.
And that one, I think I had you read the short story that I submitted to Craig Martell for his Diren, Esquire's Tale.
Yeah, that was really good.
So it follows Diren as he's like this knight, and so we wrote that last year, the first book, but it is it's completely stalled out. We got the cover done. He's super busy, and I started getting busy with other projects, and so it's just kind of sitting there. I really want to get it out because I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a great piece, but we wanted to get all 3 of them ready to roll, before we did this. So it might be a little while, but man, it's going to be so much fun when it comes out, because it's all I could think of is the easiest way to describe it is like knights in space,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got kind of like a lightsaber, but it's called a nano sword, where it's like you click a button and it's like these nanoparticles come out and it creates a rigid sword, and it's just they live in New Avalonia, so it's got like all these Arthurian types of takes to it, and but it's on an alien world, so it's kind of there's no magic to it, so it's, most fantasy you have to have magic, need to have magic, but it's got all this like medieval stuff to it, but it's a ton of fun. We did that last year, and I talk to him every once in a while, like I say, he's a super busy guy, and I'm not going to push it because I got other projects I'm doing, but I can't wait for that one to get out, because I use that sometimes as a lead magnet for some groups, that Diren story. So sometimes that can be as a freebie on things. It's not on my website, it's free, but so every once in a while I'll use that as something. But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome though. Yeah, I read that one, and it's kind of like Star Wars, like you said, Star Wars meets King Arthur's round, because it's very futuristic in a lot of ways, and in other ways it's very, very like historical and medieval, and so.
And I think that probably hits on my background probably the best, because with sci-fi, I didn't read a lot of sci-fi growing up, but I watched a lot of things. Star Wars was a big influence on me. My degrees are in history, and it's in medieval history, because I was really interested in Arthurian history, that whole lore behind it. And so that
some time.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. And so combining those two like that in that series was just, it was a perfect place for me, and I think it came through quite a bit in the stories that we created, and I can't wait to get it out, but I don't know when. I thought we'd have the first book out by now, but it's called Knight of Avalonia is the name of the book. But like I said, the cover looks sweet. We've already paid for that. It's done. It's ready to roll. We just got to finish up the book, and then the other 2. So
yeah. Well, all in good time. Sometimes you can't rush perfection. So
yeah. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good melding of my influences for sure.
That's good. That's awesome. That's great. Well, does that cover everything? I think did we miss anything that I want to make sure that we talk about everything that you want to talk about? So
gosh, I don't know. There's just so many different things going on. I've got a short story under my horror pen name that's going to be published in an anthology in the fall. I think that it's going to be called 99 Terrors is the name of the anthology. But I don't know exactly when it's coming out.
So
I don't know.
Little irons in the fire that you're
oh my god, yeah. That plus moving and jobs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Throw that all together. It's
moving is. Yeah, I don't know, unless we like get our dream house somehow somewhere on a beach, we're never moving again. I'm not doing this again.
I hear you. That's our plan.
Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's just mentally and physically exhausting.
Yes, it is. God, it's crazy.
Oh goodness. Well, we've been going about an hour. So you guys make sure you check out Jason's website. Make sure you check out in the links. I have the letter you can sign up to get his free copy of his book. And I'll pull that up here again. Let me find it. This one, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so guys, let me get rid of that other one real quick here so they can see it. Okay, so make sure you sign up, look in the links. You'll find that link for that newsletter, and you can get Sword of the Moon King for free. You can also, if you're on Kindle Unlimited, look up his lit RPG books. There's one there, and of course, this one is also on Kindle Unlimited, you said?
Yes, it is.
So it's these two. And then you guys, if you like dragons, definitely go check this out. If you like horror, check out his stuff under Jay Bauer. He's got other stuff under the Jason Nugent name. So you guys don't miss the opportunity to grab these free books, okay? And definitely go check out his website. Follow him on social media. Get his newsletter. You're not going to be disappointed, I guarantee you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. And if you'll hang around a few minutes, we'll chat afterwards, but we're going to say goodnight. So,
right on. Well, thank you.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
Sure thing.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate you being with us. We appreciate questions. And of course, if you're watching on the replay, throw some questions in and we can always come back and answer afterwards. We really appreciate everybody being here tonight. And we want to, again, remind you that Neurosis of Avalonia is now available in paperback. You can get it on the website. You can get it Barnes & Noble, Amazon, wherever you normally buy your books. And I think that's about it. Next week, same time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We are going to have photographer Adrian Bell with us. Adrian does food photography. And I know that's kind of out of the norm, but you guys, I used to do food photography. Let me tell you, this is an art. And it is cool to learn the behind the scenes stuff. So you're going to want to check this out. Not to mention she's a feisty redhead who is hilarious and a lot of fun. So you're going to want to make sure and join us next week as well. All right. So I think with that in mind, let's say goodnight, and we will see you all next week. I'm just really trying to find the outro here. There it is. All right. All right, guys. Have a good week, and we will see you next week.
Be strong. Be strong.